on David's list of top 10 albums of all time, you got some close contenders. If it was top 20, the list would have included these, but it didn't. It was top 10.
These are all the honorable mentions.
Yeah. So I wanted to take some time today to talk about those because, admittedly, I feel like I'm running out of albums to listen to. So if you can give me some recommendations based on your
You're running out.
honorable mentions. Yeah,
You can never run out.
So I'm running out of albums from artists that I know really well and I like. And recently my musical taste has been determined by singles and standalone songs that I've heard from albums that have popped on my Discover Weekly playlist on Spotify and things of that nature. Very, very random selections. So with that, I want some inspiration. Give me a little bit of inspiration.
You're gonna know most, like pretty much all of these already.
I don't think so.
But like, of course we have the first Tenacious D album. I mean,
self-titled.
Just such a great album.
Yeah.
Like so many great skits and like quotable things.
Kielbasa is a good song.
And you can't even and then there's like the songs that are like actually like really good. With like Tribute and Wonder Boy and Friendship
and Karate.
Yeah, dude.
Karate's really good. I feel like, what's the City Hall one, or is that on Pick of Destiny?
That's the last one on this.
Yeah. I think that's the only song that I don't care too much for on the album. Granted, I haven't listened to it in a really long time, but I feel like...
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these albums aren't perfect by any means.
Yeah.
But, like, it doesn't matter because there's enough good shit on there. So, where, like, I don't give a shit. Like, Ghost and Meliora. Like, there's 2 songs I don't like. But every other song is good enough where I can consider it, like, my favorite of their albums.
Yeah.
And one of my favorites.
Of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, we got the other familiars. We got In Ways and Trivium.
Yeah.
Just more Trivium shit that's really good. Rush, Moving Pictures. More Rush shit that's really good.
So albums from artists that were on your top 10, but you...
Like, these are my favorite albums by these artists.
Yeah.
But I like other albums more, essentially.
You like those other albums because you feel like there's more of like a mass appeal, or like on a technical level you think they're more impressive?
I let me tell you, I couldn't give a shit about mass appeal. Because if I did, then of course Number of the Beast would be my favorite Maiden album. Moving Pictures would be my favorite Rush album.
Yeah.
Fucking Nevermind's my favorite Nirvana album, even though it is.
Oh.
And it's also on this list.
On the honorable mentions?
Yes, because I think it's one of the perfect albums that exist out here.
Yeah, it really does all the way down. It hits really, really well. I admittedly, I haven't ever listened to Bleach all the way through. I think me and you listened to a little bit of Bleach. And then I watched Bleach, and I thought, Kurt Cobain wasn't a redhead, was he? And then he whipped out a big-ass sword and started calling himself a substitute Soul Reaper, and I thought, wow, this is going off the rails really quickly.
Ay Dios mío.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of Spanish in Bleach, actually. They call the land, like one of the spirit worlds, they call Hueco Mundo. And the leaders of Hueco Mundo are the Espadas. And then...
Okay, Nick, we're not talking about some stupid-ass anime. We're talking about good stuff. Like Metallica Master of Puppets. Good stuff.
Good stuff. Yeah, that's good stuff. That definitely... Would you say Master of Puppets or the Black Album has more mass appeal?
It's Black Album, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, Sandman is like the most well-known song by them.
But I will say, yeah.
Even because they had, obviously they had the Master of Puppets scene in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And there were people like, I've never heard this. I've heard Enter Sandman, but never this. And it's crazy to think about that.
It is.
Well,
because to Metallica fans, Master of Puppets is like the quintessential Metallica album.
That is like the goat song. Either that or One. It's one of those two.
Yeah, but
every other song is wrong.
I feel like One is also that's a Guitar Hero thing. I feel like a lot of people, especially people our age, were introduced to that in Guitar Hero 3. Legends of
but I mean, even before that, I think that was like their first music video. It got like the Grammy nom. I think One is like one of these songs, and it inspired tribute, so it's all connected.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh.
The greatest song they've ever heard? They're talking about that song.
Yeah.
It was One. That's the song they heard.
It's not Stairway to Heaven.
Jack Black showed Kyle Gass One, and he was like, "That's the greatest song I ever heard," and thus tribute.
Wow. That's
yeah.
I did not know that.
But yeah. Incredible. But ironically, neither Master of Puppets nor One are my favorite songs off those two respective albums. But we'll get into that soon.
We'll
my God.
That soon. Yeah. So
yeah. There's, like I said, there's a shitload of these. Most recently, Tool's newest album, Fear Inoculum, which is like super, like people either love it or they fucking hate this thing.
Divisive.
But I love it.
Yeah.
Minus one song on it, I think, because Danny Carey, the drummer, is just losing his mind on the whole thing.
He shaved his head too.
Yeah, he went psycho mode and shaved his head.
Yeah, the album cover is just a mugshot of him. It's just like, yeah.
But yeah, honestly, out of all these, I would recommend you that one.
The new Tool album?
Yeah. Because I'm assuming you like jammy stuff, and that album is very jammy.
I do like jammy stuff. Last episode, I know I complained about long songs and albums that have songs that are like 7 minutes. But here's the thing. I think and maybe this was just conditioned into me as a music school student, but I feel like if you're going to have a song that long, you have to keep switching it up to make it interesting and really make use of all of that extra time that because like live, I don't give a shit how long a song is live. Like when you're in the moment and when you're in the crowd, like making a song longer is so cool. Like most of the time, because then you get to hear solos, you get to hear stuff that you wouldn't otherwise be able to hear on the album and blah, blah, blah. Like when John Mayer plays a 10-minute long version of Gravity, you bet your ass I'm cheering the whole time. It's so good. But on a recorded album, it's a little different just because usually when I'm listening to like an album or a recording, I got somewhere to go. Like I usually don't sit down and just listen to music in my spare time. It's usually while I'm doing something else. And that's why I think music is such a unique art form, especially compared to movies and TV and like video games where you're kind of expected to sit there and pay attention and that's part of the enjoyment. Whereas with music, you can enjoy it because it's an accessory to whatever you're doing. You know, it's like some people only listen to certain songs when they're working out because it hypes them the hell up. Or some people only listen to music when they're having sex, like Seabat.
What?
I'll tell you when you're older.
Oh my God.
So with that being said, I feel like all music has sort of a place in people's lives and it's subjective person to person. And for me, really long songs or extended cuts of songs work super well when they're live. But some artists, particularly like Metallica and like a lot of the classic metal artists that I listened to in middle school, I was like, yeah. They're making, especially like Orion. I don't know. Songs like Orion are like, I can't imagine this being any shorter. You know, like if it is any shorter, it might be like a minute shorter or whatever. But so when it comes to like new artists and albums that are like super long, it takes a very special artist or band to really keep me excited. So if you think I'll like the new Tool album, then I trust you.
Well, yeah, cool. Well, there's 7 songs.
Okay.
And minus one of them, which is just a drum solo. The shortest song is about 9 minutes.
Cool.
Or 7. No, I think Calling Voices. That's the one I don't like.
Yeah.
I think that one's like 7, but everything else is like 9, 10, 11 minutes.
Well, and Tool has been doing this for a long time, so I trust.
I mean, okay, occasionally there's like a super long one, but
Yeah.
this one, like, especially, like, they're all like super ass long songs. That's why I like them.
Yeah. Well,
Because they're just like fucking Tom fills the whole time. It's great.
You're the instrumental guy. I feel like that's the main difference in our two different style like preferences when it comes to music is like you're a big instrumental like proggy guy and you like heavy stuff and I'm for the most part like the shorter like poppier condensed like it hits hard and really quickly kind of guy, and like I feel like we dip a little bit into each other's like preferences. Like I know After Hours was in your top 10 and that's a very like poppy like shorter song mostly vocal kind of record, which is something that you at least have told me that like you're not a huge fan of like when there's like too many vocals,
Yeah.
whereas like I look at a song with a lot of vocals and it's like, oh, that is a really cool little line, or that's a cool word to like extend over this verse or whatever.
Yeah, because I mentioned this in my like 2022 albums ranked.
Yeah.
Because Russian Circles, which is an instrumental band, was pretty high up there.
Yeah.
And I mentioned because vocals and lyrics to a lot or like pretty much everyone, they can really like ruin a song. But if you have just a couple of guys who just know how to play and jam, it's pretty hard to fuck that up.
Yeah.
And like, because I can't tell you how many times in these like rank your albums where the vocals just fucking tank an album for me, like that In the Airplane Over the Sea by Neutral Milk Hotel.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that was the
The
name of that
vocal,
album.
yeah, the vocals alone push that shit down to like the bottom 3.
Swag.
And even on this edition, there's a band that I like what they do instrumentally, but I hate the fucking vocalist so much, and it's like second to last.
Wow.
You take them out, and boom, that shoots up to like top 10 or whatever.
Jeez.
So
Yeah.
that's why I don't care for vocals as much, or like especially lyrics. I never pay attention to the lyrics
Yeah.
most of the time because I can't understand them anyway.
That's
'Cause
fair.
I have shit hearing.
Yeah, all the rock shows and in our old ages, our hearing has kind of tanked. But yeah, I think it also comes down to like the type of musicians that we are too. Like as a drummer, I'm sure you're super focused on the instrumental side of it because in rehearsals or whatever, like you're gonna be playing an instrumental instrument. Not to sound too redundant, but you're playing an instrument that doesn't necessarily have to really worry about the melody or the way that your instrument harmonizes with other parts. And as a singer, I try to pay attention to lyrics only because I like to find things in other songs that I want to like steal, like ways of describing a memory or ways of using wordplay in lyrics. I think that's really interesting for me. So it's sort of, I'm sort of like projecting on some of these songs because there are times as a songwriter where I write something and I'm like, there are too many words here, or like, I got to find a way to condense this and make it an efficient use of my song quota for, my lyric quota for the song. And so when I hear a song that utilizes lyrics very efficiently, I appreciate that a lot. Whereas, I don't know. But then again, some artists come around where it's like, yeah, dude, I fucking love when the drums go like, and they do that thing. And there's like a big band hit, like in Rope from Foo Fighters. My favorite part of that song has nothing to do with the lyrics. It's the solo part towards the end where like Taylor and Chris and Dave are like, they're trading fours and they're doing little fills and licks and stuff. It's so fucking cool. So, not to go on a whole tangent as to why, people like music. But I figured, I don't know. I just, with the last episode, I felt unsatisfied with the way that I described the Devin album. Because I really did like the Devin album. I really liked Lightwork. I haven't listened to Nightwork yet, but I feel like that's also an assignment that I'm going to give myself.
Yeah, you're in for a rude awakening with the first couple of tracks.
I'm excited. And I'm excited about Tool as well. Would you say it was called Luminary Cartillary Battery?
Yeah.
Carburary?
Yeah. Carbonated Battery. It's a good album.
What does Drax say in Guardians 2 where he's like, Luminary Battery, and Star-Lord's like, no, that's not what I said at all.
I don't remember that part.
That's good. Yeah, so go watch David's top 10 albums of all time, see which artists and which albums made the cut, and stay tuned for a similar video from me. Spoiler alert.